Hi everybody, this is Crystal. So today I'm going to show you how to make this matching scarf here. It has the basic single and double and front post double stitches also in it. I did not color control this project either, in case anybody asks. This scarf is about 6 foot long and about 6 inches wide. I'll give you the multiple so you can adjust the length. And then I have a matching slouchy. Now, slouchies are made to be a little bit bigger. So, there's this. Now, I'm not a slouchy person. I don't generally wear those. So, but some people are. So, I also made a regular beanie to match also. So, you could choose or make all of them like I did. Yes, this was much more my style. But they all are matching. They're all a matching set. So what do you think? You want to get started on it? It's really pretty easy. As long as you can do that front post double crochet, I think you can do it. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, for this project, I'm using Caron Swirl Cakes. It is an acrylic wool blend, and it's a bulky number 5. You don't have to use this yarn. I do recommend using a bulky 5. If you don't have a bulky 5, you could use 2 strands of regular 4-weight together at the same time, which will equal a bulky 5. The color that I'm using is called Toasted Marshmallow. Now, this cake has 252 yards. I was able to get my scarf out of one whole cake and then 2 hats out of another cake. So it took me 2 cakes to make 2 hats and 1 scarf. Now, as for the hook size, the pattern for the regular beanie, you follow the same pattern as the slouchy. The only difference is the hook size. So the pattern for the hats are the exact same. You just determine whether you want both, or if you want the regular beanie style, or if you want the slouchy. If you want the regular beanie, my favorite, you want to be using a size K, which is a 6.5 millimeter crochet hook. And if you want to make the slouchy, you want to use a size N, which is a 9 millimeter crochet hook. Same pattern, follow along, and it's just a different sizing. In the video, I'll be making the slouchy, so I will be using the 9 millimeter. You also use the 9 millimeter for the scarf. So only difference is if you want the regular beanie, you knock it down to a 6.5. Other than that, it's the same pattern on the hat. So first we will start on the hat. So we're going to start off with a slip knot on our hook. And let's go ahead and work a chain of 4. And now I'm going to be slip stitching into the first stitch to form a ring. Now, if you prefer to use the magic circle here, that would be fine too. Now I'm going to chain 1. Now that chain 1 is not going to count as a stitch. It doesn't count as anything. So we're going to be working through the center of the ring here. We want to work 12 double crochets. So I'm going to yarn over and go through the center of the ring, draw up a loop, and work a double crochet. I want to work 12, so that would be number 1. 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I have my 12 double crochets there, and if you pull your tail, it'll close up that center circle a little bit more, and then later on we can sew it together the rest of the way at the end. So you want to go to end round 1 by slip stitching into our first double crochet. Not the chain 1 we did, but the first double crochet. Slip stitch into that, and we'll have 12 stitches now. So now we're going to start round 2. We're going to start round 2 by chaining 1. That chain 1 does not count as a stitch. It won't count as anything. So we're going to work right back here into the same stitch here that we just slip stitched into, and we're going to work 2 double crochets into that spot. So there's 1, and there's 2. And now I'm going to work around for round 2, working 2 double crochets into every stitch all the way around. So there's 2 into my next stitch, 2 into the next, and I'm going to repeat this pattern of 2 double crochets in every stitch until I get back to my starting point. Alright, I have made it to the end of round 2, and you should have a total of 24 stitches now. Now we're going to go ahead and end round 2 by slip stitching into our first double crochet, just like that, and we're going to go ahead and start round 3. We're going to start round 3 by chaining 1, which does not count as a stitch. We're going to work right back into the same spot that we just slip stitched into, and we're going to work 1 double crochet into that stitch. And now the next stitch, we're going to be working 2 double crochets into the same stitch. And that will be the repeat for round 3. It's going to be 1 double crochet into the next stitch, and then 2 doubles into the next. One double into the next, and then 2 doubles into the next. And we're going to repeat this pattern all the way around until we get back to our starting point. Alright, I have come to the end of round 3, and you should have ended with 2 double crochets in your last stitch, and now you should have a total of 36 stitches. And we're going to go ahead and end by slip stitching into our first double crochet. And we're going to work on round 4 now, and we're going to start off by chaining 1. We're going to work 1 double crochet back into that very first stitch that we slip stitched into, and then we're going to work 1 double crochet into the next stitch. Now the next stitch, we're going to put 2 double crochets into the same stitch. So that'll be the repeat for round 4. It's going to be 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. So 1 double, 1 double, and then the next stitch is going to get 2 doubles into the same stitch. Again, 1 double, 1 double, and 2 doubles into the next. Oops. And now we want to repeat this pattern all the way around until we get back to our starting point. Alright, I've come to the end of round 4, and you should have ended again with 2 double crochets into your last stitch. You should have 48 stitches, and now we're going to go ahead and end by slip stitching into our first double crochet. Now 48 is going to be the magic number. That's the number we're going to keep for the remaining part of the hat. So we're going to go ahead, we're not going to be increasing anymore. So we're going to start by chaining 1. What we're going to do is we are going to do a double crochet right back into that very first stitch. And now we're going to do a front post double crochet around the next stitch. So we're going to yarn over, go around the post of it, and a double crochet. That. Then we're going to do a regular double crochet into the top of the next stitch, and front post double crochet around the next. So not this one, because that's where this double crochet went into. So we got to go around the next one. Again, double crochet into the top of the next, and a front post double crochet around the next. And this is a pattern we're going to repeat for round 5. Double crochet into the top of the next, and front post double crochet around the next. And I'm going to repeat this pattern all the way around until I get back to my starting point. And you can kind of start to see the posts a little bit. Okay, I've made it here to the end of round 5, and you should still have your 48 stitches. Now I'm starting to get into the black, so I hope you're able to see what I'm doing. So we're going to go ahead and end by slip stitching into our first double crochet here. You should have ended in a front post double crochet. Now we are going to repeat that, but we're going to do it opposite. So we started with a double crochet last time. Now we're going to start with a front post double crochet. So we're going to chain one. Now this first one will be a little bit difficult because we have that chain one here on the side of it in the regular double crochet. You can choose to go around both of them, or you can just choose to go around the double crochet itself. I'm just going to go around both of them. So I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to go around both of them like that and do a front post double crochet like that. And now the next stitch you can see is a post stitch from the previous round. We're going to do a regular double crochet into the top of that. Now the next stitch we're going to do a front post double crochet. So this stitch right here, that was a double crochet from the previous row. We're going to go around that and front post double crochet. Next stitch was a post stitch from the previous round. We're just going to do a regular double crochet into the top of it. Next stitch we're going to do a front post double crochet, and you can see it's just a double crochet from the previous row. So go right around it and front post. So what we're doing is it's kind of making the posts catty cornered, I guess, from each other, you can say. Next stitch be regular double, and then front post double around the next. So we're not keeping our posts lined up, we're actually making them go opposite of each other. Regular double and front post double, and we're going to repeat this pattern all the way around until we get back to our starting point. Hat's starting to turn inward. There we go. Alright, I have come to the end of round 6, and it's okay if your hat, the post stitches are flipping up. They will do that, but we will fix them as we go on. So if they're flipping, don't worry about it. If they're supposed to. If they're not flipping, I'd be worried. But you want them to if they flip like that's fine. That's fine. We'll get them straightened out. Okay, so end of round 6 here, you should have ended in a regular double crochet on top of that front post double crochet from the previous row. And then we're gonna 48 stitches, and we're gonna end by slip stitching into our first front post double crochet here. Now rounds 7, 8, and 9 are all going to be the same. So we are going to start round 7 by chaining 1. And we're going to go back into that very first stitch and do a regular double crochet. And we're just going to work 1 double crochet in every stitch all the way around. So this is round 7. One double in every stitch until we get back to our starting point. Just like that. That yarn just blends together so well. Okay, I've made it to the end of round 7. I have 48 stitches still. I'm going to go ahead and end by slip stitching into my first double crochet. Now remember I said round 7, 8, and 9 are all the same. So I just finished out round 7. I'm going to do 8 and 9 is going to be a repeat of round 7. It's just 1 double crochet in every stitch. So I will start round 8 by chaining 1, go back into that same stitch and double crochet, and I'm going to work 1 double crochet in every stitch around. And when I get back to the beginning, I'll still have 48 stitches, and then I'll start again on round 9 with another row of 1 double crochet in every stitch. So I will meet back up with you when I finish out round 9. Remember, we're on round 8 right now. Alright, I have made it to the end of round 9, and I still have my 48 stitches. So I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch into my first double crochet. Now what we're going to do is that it will end the repeat. So we are going to repeat rounds 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And I will put timestamps for that in the comment section. If you look down there, it'll be the first comment, and it'll timestamp these rows. So if you click on row 5, it'll take you right back to row 5, and it'll show you what to do again. So row 10 is going to be a repeat of row 5. Row 11 will be a repeat of row 6, and so on and so on. So we're going to repeat rows 5 through 9 for another complete repeat. Okay, so I have done another whole complete repeat rows. So I did my repeated 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 one more time. So I did my 2 rows of post stitches that are catty cornered and 3 rows of double crochet, and I ended I have a total from row 1 all the way down to 14 rows now. But I'm going to go ahead and end by slip stitching into my first double crochet, and I'm going to tie this off and hide the tail. Now remember, this is a slouchy beanie, so it's going to be a bit big. Okay, so remember, this is a slouchy, so slouchies always are a little bit bigger in the back. That's the way it looks. I'm not really much of a slouchy person, but that's it. I think it looks pretty good. So we'll go ahead and we'll get started on the scarf. Now the scarf is made pretty similar, yet just a little bit different. Differently. We're going to be incorporating some single crochets into our scarf pattern. So the scarf is done. If you want to make it wider than what mine was, and any even number will work just fine. Now for mine, I started out with a chain of 18. Okay, now once I got my chain of 18 done, you want to go ahead and single crochet in the second stitch from the hook. And then we're going to work 1 single crochet in every stitch for the length of the chain. Just like this. Okay, I made it to the end of round 1. 17 stitches, so 17 is the magic number for the scarf, so that's the number we're going to have the whole time. It's always going to be 17 stitches. So row 2 is going to start the repeat rows. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with a chain of 2. Now that chain of 2 is going to act like a double crochet. We're not going to chain 3, we're going to chain 2, and then we are going to turn our work. And when we are not going to go into this very first stitch, because that chain 2 is taking the spot of that stitch. So we're going to work right here, and we're going to go into that one. Remember, not this very first one, but the next one, and we're going to double crochet. And we're going to work 1 double crochet in every stitch for the length, or till we get to the end of row 2. Alright, I'm coming to the end of row 2. I'm going to go ahead and double crochet here in my last stitch, and I still should have 17 stitches. Row 3, I'm going to start off with a chain of 2. Remember, that's going to count as a double crochet, and I'm going to turn my work. Row 3 is a repeat of row 2. So I'm going to not go into this very first stitch here, but this next one, and double crochet. So I'm just repeating row 2 for row 3. 1 double crochet in every stitch until I get to the end of the row. Okay, I'm coming to the end of row 3 here. Now if you look, I'm just going to show you this. Remember, we have our chain 2 here on the end, and it kind of blends in with the last double crochet, but we have to remember to keep them separated. Because we have to keep 17 stitches. So go into that double crochet, and then the last stitch is the chain 2. Go ahead and double crochet into the top chain of that chain 2, like that, and you'll have 17 stitches. So the only difference between row 2 and 3 was just the way we ended the row there. 17 stitches. So for row 4, we're going to repeat row 3. We're going to chain 2, turn our work, and we're going to start off with the double crochet, not here into the very first stitch, but the next one over. We double crochet, and we're going to work 1 double crochet in every stitch until we get to the end of the row. Okay, I'm coming again here at the end of row 4, and remember, our end stitches, they kind of look like they're together, but just separate them a little bit with your fingers. That way you can go into that second to the last stitch, and then the last stitch is that chain 2. So go ahead and double crochet into the top of that chain 2. 17 stitches still, and that'll end row 4. Now we're going to start round 5. We're going to chain 1 and turn. Now we're going to do a row of single crochet. Now this time we are going to go into that very first stitch. So that chain 1 we did does not count as a stitch. It doesn't count as anything. So we're going to go into this very first stitch and single crochet. And I'm going to work across, putting 1 single crochet in every stitch until I get to the end of the row. Okay, when you're coming to the end again, just always make sure that you're separating that chain from that last stitch. So single crochet, or from that second to the last stitch, and then the chain, single crochet into the top of the chain, just like that. And that'll end row 5. 17 stitches still. So now we're going to start row 6. So we are going to start off with a chain of 2. 1, 2, and we're going to turn our work. Now what we're going to do is we are going to work front post double crochets, but we're going to be working it down here in this row of double crochets, not the single. So we chain 2. So we're not going to mess with this post here. We're going to go around the post of this double crochet down here. What we're going to do is yarn over and front post double crochet around it. And since it's down 1 row below, I always kind of just bring it up a little bit higher and then do my regular double crochet like that. And now I want to do a double crochet, just regular double crochet, in the top of my next stitch, which is the single crochet up here. So when you flip your work and you look, so here's was our first stitch. Here was the stitch that we would have worked our post in. See, we worked our post in it, so we don't do anything with that one. The next one is where we put our double crochet. So I'm going to go right into it and double crochet like that. Now I'm going to go down again and front post double crochet into the next stitch. So not this one, because that's what that double crochet, we did the front post double crochet here. We don't do anything around this one, but the next one we're going to front post double crochet. Remember, I pulled up just a little bit taller since you're going up a row. Not a lot, but just a little. And double crochet. And now we're going to do a regular double crochet into the top of the next stitch. It always helps me to look. I know I have to skip one of these stitches because that's where the front post double crochet would have went if we would have been working in the top. So I know I have to skip that one, and then the next one is where I'll do my regular double crochet. Just like that. Now we're going to front post double crochet again in the next stitch. So we front post double crocheted in this one. We're going to skip this post and we're going to front post double crochet around the next one down here. Pull it up just a little bit taller than normal and then double crochet. And then a regular double crochet into the next. And like I said, I always flip my back, so I skip this one, and this next one is the one that I know I need to double crochet into because it gets a little confusing. But once you get it down, it's pretty easy. One more time. Front post double crochet into the next stitch down here. So here's where we front post double crochet. We're going to skip this post, and in the next post we're going to front post double crochet. Pull it up just a little bit taller and then double crochet. And now we're going to regular double crochet into the top of the next. So I flip my work and I see I need to skip this one, so I won't work into that one. Here's where my double crochet needs to go. Just like that. So I'm going to keep repeating this until I get to the end of the row. Okay, I've come to the end of row 6, and I did my last stitch here was the front post double crochet, and I'm going to go ahead and end by double crocheting into this last stitch here on the end. It's actually a single crochet, so just go ahead and double crochet into that. 17 stitches still. Now for row 8, we are going to chain 1 and turn our work, and we're going to do a row of single crochet. So when we do our row of single crochet, we always start into the very first stitch because that chain 1 doesn't count as a stitch. So we go right into the first one and single crochet, and I'm going to work across, putting 1 single crochet in every stitch until I get to the end of the row. Okay, I've come to the end of row 7 here, and I single crocheted in this stitch, and I want to make sure my last single crochet goes into the top of this chain 2. 17 stitches still, and now we're going to start row 8. We're going to chain 2 and turn our work. Now we're going to do the post stitches again, but we're going to make them catty cornered like we did with the hat. So we chain 2, so we're not going to work into this very first stitch here. We're going to go into the next one, and we're going to put a double crochet into that next stitch. So not here, but here. Now we're going to go down to where we worked post stitches before, and we're going to work a front post double crochet into this double crochet here in between these 2 front post double crochets from the previous row. So you see there's a post stitch here and a post stitch here, and right here is just a regular double crochet. He's just hanging out there by himself. So why don't we go ahead and yarn over and front post double crochet around him, and draw your yarn up just a bit longer and do your front post double crochet. And now again we want to do a regular double crochet in the next stitch. I flip it over and I look. I know that I need to, this one is not worked in. That's where the front post double crochet would have went. So I know I need to skip that one and put a regular double crochet into the top of the next stitch. Again, I'm going to front post double crochet down here in this double crochet that's just hanging out by himself. Here's 2 front post double crochets from the previous round. So right in between them is just a regular double crochet. Let's yarn over and front post double crochet around him. And regular double crochet into the top of the next stitch. So I'm going to flip it This one I skip, and I know that my regular double crochet needs to go right there into that stitch. Again, we're going to front post double crochet into the next stitch. So here's a front post double crochet from the previous row. Here's a front post double crochet from the previous row. And here's our regular double, just waiting for us to front post double crochet around him. Like that. And then I'm going to flip my work, and I know I need to skip that one, and this one right here is where I put my regular double crochet. So I'm going to repeat this pattern all the way until we get to the end. What it's doing is making our post catty cornered like it did in our hat. One more time, I'll go ahead and show you. We're going to front post double crochet around the next stitch. So here's 2 front post double crochets from the previous row. We don't want to do anything with them. We want this guy right here, this regular double crochet. We want 2 front post double crochet around him. And then I flip my work and look, and I see I need to skip this one and put a regular double crochet into the top of that one. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat this until I get to the end of the row. Okay, when you're coming to the end of round 8, I just did a front post double crochet, and you should have 2 stitches left. You want to go ahead and just double crochet into those last 2 stitches. And you'll have 17 stitches. Now we're going to start row 9, which is actually the last row of the repeat. We're going to chain 1 and turn our work. And we're going to single crochet in every stitch across. And since we're single crocheting, we always start into the very first stitch. And I'm going to work 1 single crochet in every stitch until I get to the end of the row. Okay, I've come to the end of row 9, and I'm going to make sure I single crochet into that last chain 2. Now, what I'm going to do is repeat rows 2 through 9. Now, if you look through the comment, down in the comments, I will put the repeat rows for the scarf as well as I did for the hat. So you can just click on those and it'll take you, so row 10 will actually be a repeat of row 2. So we're going to repeat rows 2 through 9 until you get your scarf, as long as you want it to be. Now, I did it until I ran out of my entire cake of swirl cakes. I had like 3 feet left, and I was finished. And it made my scarf about 6 feet long. But you can make yours longer, you can make yours shorter, whatever you want. But you want to end, when you end your row, you want to make sure you end on 3 rows of double crochet, and your last row would be a single crochet. That's how you want to end. That way it matches the beginning where you started. You started with a single crochet and then you did 3 rows of doubles. You want to end with 3 rows of double in your last row to be a single crochet. So just keep repeating those rows until your scarf, like I said, as long as you want it to be. Mine's about 6 foot long, and that was almost one entire Carol twirl cake. I couldn't do any more rows. I finished it out. All right, that's it. Slochy's done. And then I went ahead and made my regular hat with my 6.5 millimeter off camera. Done. Exactly the same. That's the difference in the hook size. Hook size really makes a difference, doesn't it? But exactly the same. And my scarf. So I got myself a whole set. Now I just need to get some pom-poms or something. But that's it. I hope you enjoyed my tutorial. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to check out my hundreds of other tutorials also. You can like this video if you enjoyed. I'd really appreciate that. And until next time, have a good day and stay safe.